Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is episode 1 of the Stoked on Plants podcast. My name, if you don't know who I am and you didn't get conned into coming over here from my Instagram or Facebook or personal text message or email from MailChimp, my name is Paul Castro Jr. And yep, this is the first episode of this. It's the first time I'm doing a podcast of my own inception. I do a podcast with my buddies right now, a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. And but this is the first one of my own brain, and I know you're hearing a lot of sounds like a Mack truck's about to back up into my living room, but that's because I live in New York City, and this is not a studio, but my living room apartment, and that's where I'm going to be doing this. So, this first episode is going to be a little bit of a ramble, letting you guys know what this podcast is about, why it's called Stoked on Plants, who the hell am I, what am I doing, why you should listen or give two shits about who I am or what I'm saying or what I'm doing, and having some fun. That's first and foremost. We're going to have a lot of fun here. At least I want to. I mean, there's no other reason why I'm doing this. I want to have some freaking fun, man. My days in life are too hectic and stressful to not have a little bit of a outlet of fun. So that's what this kind of is. So where should we start? So I live in New York City. My name is Paul. I said that already, but to elaborate on Paul in New York City, I'm an actor. And a voice actor. Some people might know me from doing a ton of voiceover stuff. I've been acting for pretty much my entire time here, living in New York since college. I've been on shows like Limitless, that Bradley Cooper show, the one they did with Robert De Niro that they made, or the movie that they made into a TV show. I did Blue Bloods, Law and Order, Blacklist, and been some pretty awesome films in my life. I got to work with Bill Hader from SNL and Ty Burrell from Modern Family in a film called The Skeleton Twins with Kristen Wiig, another SNL amazing actress and comedian, and a bunch of others. I don't want to go too much into this bullcrap, but I'm an actor. I've got some stuff coming up soon that I'll probably talk about on this podcast too. And I'll go more into that, but I want to talk probably more about what Stoked on Plants is for me, why I'm doing it, and why you should listen. So I am a vegan. I'm a vegan. I've been a vegan for like over 3 years now, and it's been a pretty important part of my life, I would say. It's changed who I am, for better or for worse, in some people's minds. But for me, it's been all for the better. And I wanted to make a podcast about veganism and plant-based living that wasn't so uptight. I wanted it to be fun. I feel like people get this thing when they hear veganism. At least I did when I first heard about what veganism was and who vegans were. I thought they were these aliens who had stinky smelling farts, which is probably still true. But I just, everything was so serious, and it is serious, especially for me, because I went vegan not just for the health benefits, but because of the animal rights that are associated with it, and animal welfare. I love animals. I've got 3 cats. They're named Sasuke, Luna, and Kyrie, all based on video game characters or animes. So I'm a big nerd. And that's something else I wanted to incorporate in this. This is not just going to be a veganism podcast. This podcast is going to be about life, just everyday shit, the ups, the downs, the lefts and rights, the ins and outs. It's going to be about veganism, of course, and what it means to me to be a vegan, news about veganism and plant-based stuff, and all the great stuff that have to do with not eating meat or killing animals. And then also probably a lot about gaming and a ton of fun. This is going to be a funny podcast, I hope. There's going to be some comedy. Might try out some jokes on you. I just want to make sure that, we're good. So this is going to be a little bit of a learning experience, and we're going to figure out some things that we want to do. Probably be more structure going forward, but this is just kind of laying the groundwork for us here. So it'll be a little bit about gaming, comedy. I want to have people on the show. I would like to have people who are prominent vegans or plant-based enthusiasts. And I also want to have people who are big meat eaters and hate veganism, because I'd like to have some debates. That's the thing, probably the biggest thing for me is that when I first went vegan 3 years ago, prior to that, I was obsessed with meat. I come from an Italian family background. I used to call myself a self-proclaimed chicken parm connoisseur. I ate it everywhere. In New York City, I probably eaten it over hundreds of places at the very least, and I loved it. I was obsessed with chicken. I really didn't think I could go on without chicken at the very least. So, and I'll go into my transition of veganism, but to go further is that I was so scared of it because it seems so boring and it seems so lame and it seems so hippie and love and peace, bruh. You have to be kind of like a hippie nerd or a loser to be a vegan. That's how it was always kind of marketed to me. Or presented by people who were vegans. I had a friend in college who was a vegan. I don't know if he's still a vegan, but I used to make fun of him for being a vegan, and I used to torment the guy, poor dude, and tease him. Not that like me showing him me eating food would do anything, but I totally, I was on that other side that a lot of people are. I used to think it was so stupid and corny, and because I just didn't understand it. I grew up eating McDonald's chicken nuggets every day of my life. I was terrible. I was a little fat, chubby kid. Had zero sense of health and nutrition. And then, I just, grew up eating meat, thinking you needed protein and all that good stuff. And then, hearing about veganism, it seemed so lame. And I wanted to do something that it made veganism cool. Like, one of my favorite activists is, probably all you guys know, Earthling Ed. And he is amazing. He is a wonderful human being. He's doing such great things for veganism in the plant-based movement. But if you know Ed, he's British and he's very soft-spoken and everything is. We're here at the animal sanctuary and this is going to be a fantastic time. And we're going to eat some vegan food and you should really don't worry about your protein. That's great and amazing, and it's taught me, and he teaches me a ton about veganism. He's very soft-spoken, but if that's what you're looking for out of this, that's not going to be the case. I am a obnoxious, in a good way, rambunctious, positive, I'm high energy, probably need a healthy dose of some sort of medication to bring down the eccentricness to a slight degree. I'm just kidding. You shouldn't medicate if you're not diagnosed with something. I'm not gonna be, and that's the thing too. My goodness, I'm gonna try and watch myself here and make this as PC as possible because I know veganism, it's a very liberal thing to do and all that stuff. But this is gonna be a fun podcast, and I'm gonna be trying to spread as much positivity as possible. I mean, I think I'm a really positive person, and I do a lot of good. I made a short film about a cat who was dying with a deadly disease. I preach positivity, self-worth, all that stuff all the time. But I want this to be fun and loose and comedic while also being considerate of people's feelings. But I also want this to be a bit edgy too. That doesn't mean making fun of people for no reason. But I want this to be light, and everything will be under the tone of humor. So I'm not going to apologize for every single thing I say. I will be cautious and considerate of everything, but I want this to be fun and loose and not the typical route of veganism you see so often. I'm going to be joking. I'm going to be electric. I'm going to bring a ton of energy to a lot of your people's days. So if you're looking to listen to this podcast, like if it was an Earthling Ed podcast at night, this is probably not going to be the podcast for you, but if you're looking to get a jolt of insanity, then come on down, have a seat, stop on by, because that's kind of what I am. I'm just, there'll be times I'm talking very calmly, but I have not seen a vegan or a podcast at the very least that just was like super high energy. It wasn't super serious with all the medical terminology that comes along with it. I am an actor, someone who I'm writing a comedy show about video gamers. And I play a ton of video games, and I just happen to be a vegan, and I love everything it's about. I love not killing animals. I love being healthy. I love, not eating processed foods as much as I can. I still love me some Lenny and Larry's cookies. Shout out to Lenny and Larry for doing some awesome stuff with their vegan recipe for chocolate chip cookies. If you haven't had a Lenny and Larry's cookie, man. What the hell's the point of milk? Woo! They make dark chocolate good. So yeah, that's kind of where this all started for me from. Stoked on plants. That just means being really excited about loving plants. You ever heard someone go, dude, I'm so stoked right now? I felt like that was a nice way of encapsulating how I am as a person. And it's about plants. So it's not just a veganism podcast. So it's not Stoked on Veganism. It's a podcast about veganism and being plant-based, but it's how being a plant-based vegan informs who I am and why other people should consider going vegan. That was the other thing too. I always felt it was so, people were so preachy and pushy about veganism. And it was in such a wrong way that didn't work for me. I needed to see some of the stuff that goes on in these factories and in society and what it actually does to your health. The science documentaries have helped me tremendously, like What the Health, Cowspiracy, Earthlings, Dominions, another great documentary that just came out, and many others. And I needed to be persuaded that way. And I think if I knew that someone like me at that time 4 years ago existed and they weren't so preachy or pushy and I was able to listen to things that they said and how I can hopefully make veganism like cool, then I'd be more inclined to hear some of the facts and the science of it. So that's what I want to do here. I want to make this like an alternate way of talking about veganism, being plant-based and all that good stuff, and also not just being a vegan, but being a human being too that has a lot of other cool stuff going on in his life. Green tea with kombucha. Yeah, so like I said, I have a comedy show that we're writing called Next Big Thing. It's about gamers. We premiered at the ITV Fest, the HBO Emmys sponsored event, and I was the showrunner, creator of that with my partner, Allie Miller, also a vegan, and my girlfriend. And we did a short film called Eris, which is the one about the sick cat, which won a ton of awards. It was best short film, narrative short at the Garden State Film Festival, among many others. I'm doing a documentary on Madonna called Madonna and the Breakfast Club, which was going to be released probably this March. We just got a sales agent recently and domestic distribution, so that's going to be going worldwide. You can watch the trailer on YouTube, Madonna and the Breakfast Club. It's a pretty awesome thing. We've gotten some amazing coverage. We were talked about in Vogue, Page 6, Entertainment Weekly, or E! News, one of those ones. That's the TV one with the guy from Saved by the Bell. Not Marco Rubio. What's this guy's name? Mario Lopez. I knew it was an M name. So yeah, I'm not just a vegan. I've got other stuff too, and that's what I want this to be about. I was supposed to do this podcast with a friend of mine, but he's going through a difficult time right now. So I had to trudge forward for the sake of my own humanity and for the sake of just doing something creative. As a filmmaker, I talk with a lot of students and people who are younger than me about trying to get into the filmmaking industry, and I always say just make some shit. You've got a DSLR camera, you've got some audio equipment, just make something. And that's kind of what this is for me. It's just making something, having an outlet to talk to people about veganism, and the other great cool stuff that are going on in my life. So back to why I think veganism gets such a bad rap is because, and I think that the title of this is going to be Why Vegans Suck or Why Veganism Suck. And that's probably going to be the overall message here of this podcast is It's just so, just like with any movement, there's so much good, but just the tiny bit of bad can cast a dark shadow over an entire movement. And that's what it was for me, and I still think that exists right now. I remember I made a video and I posted it in like some vegan group, but it wasn't like a strictly vegan group. It was like these halvesies, like these halfling vegans where they also maybe cheat with some cheese and stuff, and that's fine. That's the other thing. If you're doing anything you can to help the environment, because that's a big part of this stuff too, look at the emissions that comes from animal agriculture, and you'd be astounded that it's worse. The stuff that we do with the animal agriculture industry is worse than the entire automobile industry. What? How did we let that happen? So I was posting in one of these groups, and if you're cutting out meat, that's awesome and amazing for you. You should not be condemned for doing that, and that's part of who I am. But these specific people who are lenient about how to go vegan or not, extremely judgmental and nasty, some of them, and they criticize you. If you're just, it's like a cult. There's certain cults, vegan cults that exist, and it's terrible. There's not a right or wrong way of being vegan. People want to put these boundaries and guidelines around being vegan, and obviously at the end of the day, if you can cut out meat and dairy altogether or any animal products, amazing. But if you're transitioning and you're still trying to find your way, you're not a bad guy. Imagine you woke up one day and someone told you that brushing your teeth was bad, and it's actually destroying your teeth, and it's something you've done every day of your life. Would you just up and be like, yeah, let me just go ahead and not brush my teeth for forever? Probably not. You're going to be skeptical, and maybe you'll try other methods of doing it. You're just not going to outright believe people if it's something that's been bred into your entire culture. That's what meat eating was for me. I mean, why would I think it's so wrong and terrible for you if I grew up eating it? My parents eat it. My grandma died at 90 years old on a meat and cigarettes diet. So why should anything be different? And the answer is the government. Just kidding. Maybe not. I don't know. I think that there's definitely a lot of propaganda that gets put into society and our media by corporations that are funding a certain cause, like the dairy and meat industry, who are trying to protect their assets and don't want you eating plants or drinking almond milk, because then they're not making money off the cow's milk. So back to what I was saying, these groups of vegans who are very pushy about being a certain way, and then they'll, like the half-sea vegans that are just very critical if you are a full vegan. If you're a full vegan, if you're kind of like a someone who eats eggs and is transitioning, they call them a vegan. I was a vegan for like 6 months. Having these labels and stuff too, man. I think labels are good and bad. Labels are good because it helps you like direct sources of information. Like if you're looking for stuff on veganism, you don't have to like arbitrarily Google something. You know what you're getting into. But it has a tendency to lead towards a cult mentality, and that's what I was seeing a lot of. If you had cheated once, it's like, oh, how could you cheat? Did you know how many baby cows you killed by drinking that glass of milk? You out of your mind? And look, like I said, at the end of the day, let's stop the consumption, but let's encourage other people in a positive way that they're not bad people for wanting to go vegan, or if they're not. I think every one of my friends growing up is not a vegan, and I'm that healthy little parasite that just says, hey, you can do it. It's possible. You won't die. You can get protein from spinach and broccoli, because that's where the cows get it from to begin with, from the soybeans. So, like, yeah, my friends, they think it's hysterical. They think I am the biggest pansy. Is that an acceptable word anymore? I don't know. I want to use the P-U sussy Y word, but I'm trying to make this as PG as possible, but I guarantee that's going to end pretty quickly. But yeah, they think I'm a pansy for being vegan. Some of them, not all of them. And it's just funny to them. And then we have debates. It's really cool, actually, because I get to influence them potentially, and they get to, debate with me. There's no right and wrong when it comes to your the way you were brought up. It's like, how you like I was saying, you've grown up eating meat and drinking milk, and with ads saying milk is good for your bones every day of your life, and then suddenly some kid who looks like Justin Bieber with a backwards hat's telling you that that's actually bad for you. I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit on that one, little guy. Relax yourself, little boy. Where's your mummy? Where's your mama? So that's, a big problem with veganism, and I want to help dispel that myth that you need to be a crazy vegan, or you're a bad person if you haven't gone all the way, and just invite some humor into this veganism cult, this veganism clan that all us vegans here who are listening or watching are a part of. So yeah, that's where this is all coming from. Stoked on Plants. Let me know what you guys think about that name. I like it. The other name we were going to go with was the Vegan Nexus, and I think that might be something later we take, but that sounds more like a plant news network. And don't worry, I already stole all the Instagram handles for every idea we were thinking about. So good luck. I bought the domain name. I actually had to message some girl on Instagram and basically beg her for the Instagram handle Stoked on Plants, and she was like, yeah, sure, why not? For a price. I was like, oh god, this is what it was going to cost me. It's going to cost me $500 for an Instagram handle, Stoked on Plants. That's something, that's a business scheme. Just start taking Instagram handles that are something that people might, use the same way in the, with the .com stuff. I remember I tried to get, when I first moved to New York, I tried to do PC design. I was trying to do a website design company when I first moved to New York, and I looked up PC design because Paul Castro, and they wanted like $50,000 for it. I'm like, oh, PC, like computers. Yep, gonna pass on that. Anyway, back to Stoked on Plants. The girl was very, very cool. Thank you so much for doing that. She just kind of handed it over for nothing, and I really greatly appreciate her doing that. It makes things a lot easier and consistent, and makes people get to find this a lot easier. So yeah, what else are we going to do here? I've got some cool ideas. I have some guests in mind who I want to bring on here, and I'm not going to say them yet because once they hear that, they're going to be like, yeah, good luck, buddy. I have to coerce them into coming on with some other ploy that I'll have to think of, maybe like an Amazon gift card or Ruby Tuesdays coupon. But I'm going to do a little segment, not today, but this is something Allie's going to help me with this. I'm going to do this once a week. Hopefully it'll be consistent on the times in which I do it, but I'm going to have a new vegan meal or trying food from a new vegan restaurant every week. So I'll give you guys, you guys can submit recipes once more than 3 of you are listening or watching, and we'll review it quickly. It'll be made already. Me and Allie will have a bite, and we'll talk about it. We'll see. This is very. I love the bitter undertones. I love the sultry aroma that's caused by the paprika and basil. We're not gonna do any of that shit. We're just gonna tell you how the damn thing tastes. That's the thing with I started drinking wine, and there's a whole freaking thing with veganism and wine too. You got to make sure that you're eating the right grapes. Apparently here, but people I always love when people go, so full bodied. So rich, so earthy. I don't know what any of that means. I know if it tastes good or not. Who knows? Maybe I'll develop a vocabulary doing this bit. But I do cook a little bit. Me and Allie do. I just throw a lot of garlic and onion on things, so probably be a lot of those recipes. But I think that's going to be a really fun part of this podcast. I'm going to have guests on. Like I said, it won't just be people who are vegan, but it'll be people who are in my life too, and maybe discuss veganism with them. So it might just be a random person from the film and entertainment business who is or isn't vegan, and I'll say, "So have you ever thought about it?" And they might go, "Yeah," and I'm just not into it. And I want to know the reasons why. I think that's going to be super cool. It's just discussing that stuff and then debating with them healthily or in a healthy way. Why don't you want to go vegan? What has, steered you away from it? What are some things we can do better for you? What can us vegans do better for you non-vegans? And that'll be fun. And I just think that this will be different than any other podcasts. So, yeah, I'm having fun already, I think. I'll do some news article segments like a lot of podcasts do, and like I read something the other day, I'm not sure, I forget the magazine title. I'm sure I could look it up, but I don't really care, because the guy was an idiot. He said, someone proposed an article to say, it was like a journalist thing, hey, I want to do an article on veganism and plant-based living or something, and the guy who's like the editor-in-chief or something was like, how about we do a thing on killing all the vegans and making them watch videos of animals being slaughtered? Don't quote me on this because that's probably not what he said, but it was something to that effect. Why don't we make them eat meat, force feed them? It's like, why would you say that to someone who's clearly a vegan who works for you? Like, that's not going to get you anywhere. Actually, it's going to get you fired. In today's climate, you better watch out for what you say. And you should. And I think there was, I don't know what other podcast I was listening to or a comedy routine. I want to say it was The Fighter and the Kid or something. Very, very good comedy podcast if you don't. With Brendan Schwab and Brian Callen, who I don't think are anything close to being vegan. And that doesn't steer me away. But they were like, it's in today's world, it's not that you should be afraid to say anything, but you have to just be accountable and a lot more, anything you say, you need to do the work, the research to know that it's worth saying. You can't be cheap with your jokes anymore, and I think that's a very healthy lesson for a lot of people. It's not that you can't say whatever you want anymore. You just have to think about it a little bit and make sure that it's worth saying, or there's a payoff for it, or you've done your homework. Like, you shouldn't just make fun of, not make fun of, but you can't make like a gay joke anymore. You can't just say words that are offensive or harmful to gay people if there's no, not that you should anyway, but if you're going to make a joke about the being gay or gay culture, that there needs to be some homework done involved with that. Otherwise, you're just going to have people who are up in arms and very quickly to critique you, because especially in comedy, not that this is a comedy podcast, but the same thing is going with veganism. If you're gonna poke fun at vegans or things like that, I mean, just say it in kind. That's the one thing that was always curious to me about veganism, is there's so many people in the world who love animals. They say they're animal lovers. They love dogs. They love cats. And whenever the big ploy question is always like, well, could you eat a dog or a cat? And everyone's like, are you kidding me? Eat my dog? Eat my cat? Are you out of your mind? Yet in Yulin and in China, people eat dogs all the time. There's dog eating festivals. And when you say this to people who have dogs and cats, they just don't see the correlation. It's because of the way our culture is. We were brought up, dogs and cats are pets, and anything else you can slaughter and eat, so long as you're not doing it. Well, I mean, I'm just trying to think back to when I was a kid, if I actually put those things together. I don't think I ever did. That an animal had to die to get the food to your plate. I don't think I ever made that connection. And I still think today adults still don't do that. And that's why when you see a lot of these, they call them like black box I forget the exact name, but when you see people in masks and they're holding the laptop screens and they're showing you videos on the street about what goes on in the meat and dairy industry, it's like, what? That's how I get the milk from my Cheerios? A strong pass for me. So like when you start seeing those things and you see them in like a healthy way and you're not criticized that's the one thing a lot of the activists like Earthling Ed and a lot of the people who are another great activist, the Australian guy, I want to say his name is Space. I'm gonna look it up because he's a really great guy. James Spacey or James Aspie. Sorry, I wanted to say James Spacey, not the dude. Neither is it Kevin Spacey. You're a weird guy. Kevin Spacey. Look at that guy. Woo! He had the whole world in his hands. And then he was a pedophile. And then, thankfully, they kept House of Cards going, because that would have been really upsetting. That's the worst part about those people and those things that are happening, is when somebody gets exposed rightfully for terrible things they're doing, a bunch of other people lose their jobs. It's like, come on. We got to do things like that. I think, like, Roseanne, too, like, they're doing a spinoff or something on that, whatever. I think that's pretty sick. The people with the Bill Cosby are getting the short on the stick because it's not like they're going to reboot it without him. And now, see you later, residual checks. So that's weird. So, like, that's some stuff we're going to talk about here on, too. We're going to see where this stuff lands. We'll see where we get with this stuff. And I want a ton of input from you guys. What you like, what you don't like, what I should do more of, what should I do less of? Should I stop talking? Should I stop breathing? Don't say that, because that's just mean and hurtful. I want to breathe. I want to live. I've got so much I want to do. I want to change the world. So yeah. And so let's go back to because this is more than likely going to be the title. Why vegans suck. Some of them, not all of them. There's always a couple of bad eggs. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be a way we can get more people to become vegan or transition into veganism without pointing the finger at them if they like chicken a lot. Because that's a valid thing. Like, I mean, people, I said this before and I got so much hate for it, but I was addicted to meat. I couldn't live without it. I was like, I went through like withdrawal. I had the crack scratches when I was stopped eating meat. I was so angry and irritable. Specifically chicken. That was like the one I was like, I just want to freaking rip something's head off. I want to just sink my teeth into a body and eat it. And that's the straight up truth. I was going crazy. Like, you know, people have the oral fixation from smoking cigarettes. I had that with eating chicken. I just wanted to like tear into some flesh. And those fake meat alternatives, that's a whole debate too, why you call them fake meat or whatever. We'll get into that later, you know, but that stuff definitely helped me. Falafel saved my life, and eggplant, and seitan. Not Satan, but seitan. Seitan. Great foods. But there's for me, I'll go into a little bit of my transition. I ate meat my entire life, like I said. I pretty much smothered everything I could in either mozzarella cheese or sour cream. So that was a wake-up call when I couldn't do that pretty much anymore. Because when I went vegan, Daya wasn't really on the market yet. Now there's a ton of vegan cheese brands, and I didn't really know what nutritional yeast was. So I was like, shit, man, cheese, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, let alone meat. So I did it step by step. I didn't really eat much pork. So I cut out beef was the first thing, red meat, which is, I would suggest to anyone looking to transition, that should be the first one you're looking to do. Because of the heart disease. Hey, you guys ever hear of heart disease? Kills a lot of people. think there's a lot of science that backs that up too, with red meat. So I cut out red meat, wasn't eating pork, didn't eat much fish to begin with, so it was pretty much turkey, chicken, and I guess I ate roast beef a bit, but it was pretty much turkey and chicken. And I cut out turkey, and then it was just chicken. And then I did that. I pretty much ate chicken for like 3 months, or maybe more. Maybe it was like 6 months. I'm so terrible with time. So I ate chicken, and then once I gave up chicken altogether, I just was like a week later, I'm just going to give up cheese. I'm going all in. I'm just going to cut it off cold turkey, and that really worked for me, doing like a step-by-step process for cutting it out. And I remember I was telling people like I'm trying to do that. Oh, and then and then I became a vegan. I was eating eggs and no meat, and I told people that, and they're like, well, you know that the chicken industry is just as bad, right? I'm like, no shit. I'm trying to get there. Like, I'm with you guys. And I'm not thinking chickens were at that time. I didn't think chickens were less than cows or turkeys or any of those things. I'm just trying to get there. I'm so used to eating scrambled eggs and omelets. Like, give me a second, please. Just let me breathe. Let me breathe, baby. Please, baby. And that's a thing with the vegans that I want to let people know, that just because you see a lot of people like that, you see like the bleeding heart vegans, that not that they're bad, but not that you have to be that way either. You can be a cool vegan. I promise you. You can wear backwards hats and have long hair and be a vegan. But I guess a lot of vegans probably have long hair already. It's a pretty hippie thing to do. I think hippies and vegans get correlated. Love and peace. So I gave up cheese immediately, and then I was eating eggs, and then I think it was like 3 to 4 months of eating eggs. And then, so I've been probably vegan 3 years now. And I was still transitioning between getting all the animal products out. Like, so I had a leather backpack, which I ditched. And I'll talk about that in a second. But then I was also eating things like honey. And there's like, then there's like there's people who are, like, avocados can't be made without the pollination of the flowers or the plants in which they're made from bees. And it's like, you gotta be a little bit lenient. Like, I don't eat honey because I do think that you're exploiting bees and that they're making that honey for themselves. And there's a whole thing we can go into that. But I mean, not eating an avocado because some of those bees were migrated to somewhere else. It's like, let's have a little bit of grace. Like, we're doing a lot. Like, people don't realize. I think like less than 10% of the population is vegan. So if you're not eating meat or dairy right now, you're doing like you're fighting the power. Okay? So let's cut some slack to people who want to eat some avocados that may or may not have been pollinated from a bee who got transferred from like California to Wyoming or something, all right? Let's cut some slack. We're getting there. We're going to get there. It's not going to be overnight. People are not going to become vegans overnight. It's not going to happen. So then again, like the plant-based or the products, like I still have, or I have that backpack. So one of my favorite backpacks. I have a lot of memories with it. Nostalgia, which is what nostalgia is a ton of thing for people. Like, you walk into a McDonald's and you got that smell. Like, I can still smell to this day the play place in McDonald's. Like, it just smelled like fun and chicken nuggets and French fries. Like, some salty, sweaty fun. That's like my memories of McDonald's, man. Me and my friends used to go there, used to hang out in McDonald's for hours. We used to take the Powerade, the Fanta, the Sprite, the Coca-Cola, and make like a chemical concoction and drink that shit. Used to hang out as the rock and roll McDonald's too. they had an Elvis in the middle of our McDonald's, and he had a jukebox, and they just called it the Elvis McDonald's, and we used to hang out there and loiter for hours, live on that dollar menu, put a McChicken and a double cheeseburger and make like some sort of colossal sandwich, and we used to eat those. I'm probably still paying for that inside my body somewhere. There's an organ that's still like, help. But like, just because I was eating meat and dairy and stuff back then doesn't make those memories bad. Like, they're still nostalgic to me. And so many people, like, they think like, all right, I gotta freaking throw out my couch and my son and my cats. I got some 3 cats. See you later, guys. Because you're a vegan now and you guys eat meat so you can piss off. But there's like, it's like, dude, just pump the brakes. Don't, get rid of your entire wardrobe because you've gone vegan. If you can afford it, sure. But if you're broke as shit like me, you can wear your vegan boots or your leather boots still. Because that cow, don't make that life in vain. Right? Like, it died for a reason. At least make its life worth something. And cats, man. I've got 3 cats, and I don't know if you guys saw that Joe Rogan special, but it was hysterical. He makes fun of vegans and cats, and like, it's like a walking contradiction. But I'm not going to do a whole episode on this. I probably will do a whole episode. I won't make it about this one. So many vegans got so angry about that. Well, fuck you, Joe Rogan. Hate vegans. You thought you were cool. God, man. It's funny. You got it. Like, that's like, even like from I think he's smart enough to know of the positives of being vegan. I think he's tried it before. He owns cats and he calls them little psychopaths. And he loves his cats. And at the end of the day, if you're feeding your cat a vegan diet, like, you have to be insanely rich or that cat is gonna die. Cats are carnivores. They need meat. Humans, on the other hand, I ain't got no fangs. Like, where's Sasuke at? I'll have to have... They're undoubtedly going to jump on this table at some point during the podcast, but my cat, it's so true. He says when my cat starts eating meat, which we still feed him because we don't want them to die, he starts going... He's reminiscing to the genes in his body that are telling him, you could have fucking slaughtered that thing and ripped its body apart and destroyed it. I think there's moments where he looks at me and he's like, I could probably kill you. I could eat you right now, but I don't because you feed me. It's a fine line. Fine line. But it's so funny, and you have to have some humor in it. He's not attacking vegans. He's poking fun at a little bit of a contradiction that exists. And I think, personally, you can own cats and be vegan. You're doing... this world is not the same world that it used to be in. We've colonized and industrialized things. We've taken habitats. We've domesticated animals and stuff. And the people before us have created these conditions. And we, as humans, have a responsibility to take care of these animals that are in these situations now and to kind of stop the effects of things. Like, obviously, deer population. They used to live in woods. People hit deers with cars every day. They're not used to having cars on their highways. Now people are trying to make those bridges so animals can cross safely over highways. Like, let's just do some shit like that, man. And people are like, well, why don't we make some flying cars? Well, then we're just going to kill birds, man. So we just got to think. We've got a responsibility. It's like one of my favorite quotes from movies, comics of all time. Grandpa Ben, Uncle Ben. With great power comes responsibility. And it's true. Like, we don't need to kill animals to live. We don't need to do it. I've been living healthy. I'm in the best shape of my life right now, and I'm eating worse. I eat more sugary sweets that are vegan because, like every other vegan in the world, you see a vegan cookie and brownie. You're like, I got to eat this before it's gone. Got that buffet syndrome. Just like when I go to a buffet, vegan buffet, man, my plates are mountains. And like I go to my local supermarket, man, they've got a Beyond Burger in stock. I'm taking like 3 of them because you got some crazy vegans up here in hipster Harlem now. Who knows when they're going to get those Beyond Burgers back. And that's, so theoretically, I'm probably eating worse if people, if you want to consider eating meat healthy. I was eating like lean chicken and salads all the time. But now I do eat a lot of sweets. I try not to. I try to eat as raw and clean as possible. Try and stay away from us processed foods. But your boy's got that sweet tooth. Got that sweet tooth. I love me some brownies. Love me some Lenny and Larry's cookies. Love hot fudge, ice cream. And there's some good vegan alternatives, man. I hate people go, well, this... I love telling people who are not vegans. I'll get like a vegan... I got my buddy a vegan pizza once. And he's like, yo, man. I didn't tell him. I said, this is the regular one. This is the vegan one. And I was like, how is it, man? This pizza's good, right? He's like, yeah, man, this is good. And then I told him like later, I was like, actually, that was a vegan pie. And he goes, yeah, it did taste a little weird. It's like, dude, no, it didn't. So many people, they always like, yeah, it's kind of like that little, like anytime someone eats a Beyond Burger, it's good, but I can taste the plants. I can taste the tree and dirt, it's just not the same. Like, dude, shut up. No, you don't. It tastes the same. Not the same. At the end of the day, it's all freaking spices anyway. You're pretty much just eating some sort of chewy shit with some oregano, paprika, and basil. That's all really meat is. It's freaking spiced and sauteed and greased up chewy shit. That's all it is. Condiments. When I was eating eggs, I was basically just eating a little freaking piece of something in a pool of tomato syrup, ketchup. My God, I used to have chicken quesadillas, but it was really more like tortilla with sour cream, or sour cream with tortilla. Vegans are funny, man. Veganism's funny. It's a funny world we live in, these vegans. So this podcast, I think, is going to be really fun. And it's going to be a lot more streamlined and a lot more organized. Hopefully I'll get some sponsors on here. I already got some people in mind. I want to collaborate with some people. But I wanted to make kind of the first one just a get to know me. Maybe I'll end it a little bit more with so I do a ton of voiceover. I worked for Nickelodeon for many, many years. I do a lot of their commercial stuff. So if you've ever heard something on Nickelodeon where it's like, next time on Nick Sports, SpongeBob gets crazy with Rob Dyrdek and his Fantasy Factory. That's probably me. Done some cartoons with them. And like I said, done some movies and stuff, and we're making a TV show and stuff. So I got a lot of cool stuff going on with that. I do a lot of film production commercials. And I'm just, I'm a short guy. I'm a short fella. I don't know what else there is to know about me. I'll probably talk more about it later in depth, and we'll, get the skinny on that. But, today is just a little powwow, a stream of consciousness about who I am, what I'm about, why this is going to be fun, and the start of something hopefully very, very special. Stoked on Plants. And I'm going to ask my buddy, I haven't talked to him yet about it in specifics. He's going to do a little, theme song for me, so maybe we'll play it out and play it in with it. I love podcasts that have that. They got that do 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 do. That's just a Seinfeld theme song. So yeah, I think this is we're nearing an hour on this. So that's how long they all will probably be. I don't know how much more I could have really talked about. I can an intro at least, and we'll do, like I said, more news and all that good stuff. But guys, it's been a fun first recording. You should have seen me yesterday. I looked like a freaking insane scientist trying to set up this thing to look freaking the same way it looks every day anyway. Yeah, I'm excited. Follow the Instagram, StokedOnPlants. because I paid for it and I wanted to be worth something. On Instagram, and I think on Twitter it's going to be StokedOnPlants _ On Facebook, I think it's StokedOnPlants. That's just and I live in New York, so you're gonna hear a lot of dogs barking and music blaring. That's gonna be pretty consistent until I get a studio. So those are the social medias. I have the domain ready. I just haven't launched yet because I can't justify spending $200 yet until I've got this going a little bit. Money be tight in this actor life. Yeah, so this is gonna be so fun. This is gonna be super fun. Those are the Instagrams, the social medias, and the YouTube. I haven't decided where if I'm gonna put this in my personal one, which I think I'm going to. I'm probably gonna do it. So that's gonna be Paul Castro Jr. And that's all my social medias anyway. Paul Castro Jr. So guys, it's been real. My name is Paul Castro Jr. That's my voicemail. If any of you ever called me before, shout out to my voicemail. And I look forward to going down this fun journey with you guys. I'm having fun already. I think it's only going to get better. It's going to get saucier, spicier, and crazier. So stay tuned. I don't know what day I'm going to be releasing these yet, but this is episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 2, guys. Much love, peace, and vegan chicken grease. Sufficient time for outro song to play. And crossfade.